Well, good day, friends. I got something interesting to tell you today. Occurred back in 1969. So probably a lot of you wasn't even born then. But that's when it happened. It happened to me and my wife. Viv and I were living in a place called Biddle Acres on the outskirts of small town of Carmichael's in Greene County, Pennsylvania. At this time, and my parents, they were about maybe 7-8 miles away on a farm up in, a little west of us in Greene County, just outside of a little village there called Key Dive. So after we spent the day up there, visiting and all that, it was time to go home. We got on Route 21 and headed back east toward Carmichael's. And we stopped at Vivian's mom and dad place in Carmichael's. And we had to come out to get back onto the route to start heading home again. And the strangest, unexpected thing happen. I was looking up at the sky all the way home because it was one of those beautiful dark nights. You know, the moon wasn't showing up, flooding out the light for the stars or anything, but the whole heavens was like black and silver, just ink black and thousands of stars everywhere. And this was in the last couple months of spring in 1969. It was a beautiful night. And as we left Vivian's parents' home and started toward our house, and I was looking up at the sky, something started coming out over top of the car, and we were driving under trees to get up to that point. But right before you get to where we were going to turn, you come out and there's nothing but open sky. And I guess it must have occurred to me that maybe one of those trees we just went under was falling over us, because it come out like this. When it did, I stepped on the gas, got out away from there, rolled the window down, and watched a UFO come into full view over top of the car. I reached over and grabbed a hold of Vivian, stuck her head out the window, not knowing that she saw something move on her side and was looking up at it when I grabbed her. Anyway, I pulled her over, stuck her head out, and she said, "Yes, I see it. I see it." And I set her back down, and I looked, and I watched this thing head toward Carmichael's area high school football field. The football field sat just to the west of the school, and it was kind of going, it was really slow. It was moving so slow, and there was a band around it that was spinning, and that wasn't doing anything keeping it up there, because it wasn't flying by anything that we would expect that could stay up in the air. This thing somehow had to be like canceling out gravity, because it could just stop and stay there in the air. It almost did. It was going so slow. And I looked, and it looked like there was windows in the side of it. They weren't spinning, but this band around in a different position was spinning. And I looked in all those windows to see if I could see a person in there. While I was looking at it, I couldn't believe I was seeing it. And it kept moving slowly. And I thought it was maybe going to coast into the high school building. What is going on? Okay, They talk about flying saucers and aliens, an extra. Well, this one here. Look, Viv. You know, she's not paying any attention to me. She's just going herself. Anyway, it coasted through the air over top of our football field, and it was bigger than the football field. I know they're 100 yards long. I don't know exactly how wide they are, but this thing was bigger than the width of it and the length of it. And it went like this out in front of us. And it passed the school now. It didn't worry about the school because it got beyond that. It was going over another highway that was over there going out. Carmichael's was up this way to our right as we were coming to the intersection where we had to stop when this thing came up. Anyway, behind the road over there was a hill, a big hill, wooded, forested hill that, okay, it looked like this thing, this is going to make the newspapers. It's too low. It's going to hit right smack it. But you know what? That thing went over there, rose up in the air, got beyond the hill, and then whoom, went down. I said, Viv, you know where I know the land around here pretty good from so much hunting. I said, that thing landed on the ridge out there by the old Novotny Farm. There's a saddle up on that ridge, a low place, where if you land there, people can't actually see you. Like it's a field. It's not trees. It's on the other side of the trees. There's a pasture field, a perfect place. And I said, hold on. We had a 64 Chevy at that time. I put that sucker in gear and I turned right, and I knew how to get out there. You had to go up to Carmichael's, up to the town, and then go around the town square up there, 3/4 of the way, to get on the right road that now went out toward the Novotny Farm, and that's what we did. And when we took off, boom! Fire in the sky, all over on the other side of the fire department. A transformer blew up on one of West Penn Power's electric poles. It blew up and exploded, and on the inside of those is a couple windings of copper wire. And when they burn, it burns green and blue and yellow smoke because there's oil in them too to keep them cool. Anyway, it exploded, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that's what exploded, was a transformer. But we took off after it, going uptown trying to get out there because the sirens came on. And they were opening up the doors on the back of or on the front, I should say, of the fire department. And I thought, oh man, we saw it before they did. We can get there before they do. I put that old Chevy in low gear, let the clutch out, took off and hit second, and first thing you know, we was shooting through the stoplight. And down to the left is where as we passed the street to get up to town, it's where all the commotion was headed. There was people running that way, cops was trying to get down there, and that's where the explosion occurred. We didn't know it was a transformer. They didn't know what we saw either. We took off, went around the square, went out of town about 3/4 of a mile by ourselves. Nobody followed us. We thought we was trying to beat the cops and the fire department, that the whole town somehow knew what happened. A UFO had wrecked, and it must have blown up or something. You know what? Now that I've had training in electricity, I understand that there's an associated magnetic field with all current flow. And when you take something like a copper conductor, there's maybe a mile of wire wound up in one of those little one of those transformers. But when a strong magnetic field cuts across a conductor like copper, it creates a potential and a current flow inside of it that is so much greater than what it was designed to handle, especially if whatever that ship had in it to counteract the gravity, if it was something that dealt with, there's what we call the electromagnetic field, and mankind knows a lot about the electro part. The magnetic part is kind of somewhat of a mystery. It's strange how it operates. But if that's what they were running that ship on, was magnetism, and it's come down into that area, and you can't see the lines of flux of magnetism surrounding a unit like that. You just can't see it. You can't see magnetism. We've all played with little magnets when we was kids, and we know that. But if that lines of flux would sweep across the windings in that transformer, it could induce a voltage in there that transformer couldn't handle, and it would have to explode. Well, that one did. That's the part they saw. We saw what caused the explosion, and we were going to it alone. We went, and of all things, you got to go 3/4 of the way around that square, then take off out of town down past the cemetery of all places, and then you were aimed right at the hill beyond your, kind of out in front of you and to the left, where we saw this thing drop down like it landed. Didn't look like it wrecked, it looked like it landed. So we took off out of town. We was on the road to Novotny's. Now, we took a trip there just yesterday, but it was in the daytime, and I wanted to make it part of this video. And you got to understand, now, this whole thing occurred at night. And a lot has changed since then. Hey, friends, there's been 56 years went by since then. Anyway, the road going out of town now is not much wider than what it was before. The only difference is it's now paved. Then it was a dirt road. Here and there was even grass growing up in the middle of it. And when we got out there and we dropped down over the last hill heading down, the Novotny Farm was off to our right and way out ahead. Well, yesterday when we went out there, it wasn't like that. We was driving on that pavement, but the spot on the right where I had pulled over and parked, because I actually went up on the ridge looking for that thing, and I left Vivian sitting in the car. I said, don't let the car run so you can hear, so I can hear. Leave the key in the ignition. So when I come down off of there, if I'm moving, I'm going to get in the car quick. I want that key to already be in the ignition. You just sit there. Don't make a lot of noise. Just listen and watch, and I'll be back. And where I pulled off back then, 56 years ago, there was a wide spot still there, but they graveled it, widened it a little bit, and made it as an entry point for their pasture field. And way out ahead where the old farmhouse used to be is gone. Now there's a big pond out there and a great big new home. Anyway, back then in 1969, I left Viv set in the car with the engine shut off so you could hear, key in ignition. I got out, I went to the left, and I let her sit in there, and I would bend over, pull the wires apart on the barbed wire fence. It was basically a pasture field over there. And so I went through the barbed wire fence, and you know what? Yesterday when we went out, there was no field. I walked actually through a field 56 years ago, but now you can't see a field. You can't even see that it's a hill, but it is a hill. All you can see are the trees that grew up over the 56 years, and you can't see over the trees to see the top of the hill. If there is still a field way up there, I don't know. But in 1969, I left Vivian sitting there, and I got out and I stuck a flashlight in my hip pocket, and I walked over. I thought, I'm going to try to get up there. There was no moon, and the starlight's not very strong. So I still could see somewhat. And I'm used to, you know how if you're looking without a light in the darkness, you try to look beside an object, and you can kind of see with your peripheral vision better than you can if you're focused. Well, I try to make my way up that hill like that because there was no trees there. It was just a field. So I did. I got up. I had probably walked away from the car about 100 yards up a gentle, steady incline. And I felt a difference in, I couldn't see as anything, was near me or like a solid object with my peripheral vision anymore. So I reached in my pocket, I pulled the flashlight out, and I turned it on, and here I realized I had just walked in. There was a fog, like a cloud bank, stratified, floating, covering the top of that hill where I was trying to go, and coming down some great distance. I couldn't even see what was up there. Matter of fact, I had to take the flashlight, and I looked, and this fog bank was stratified. It was thick, but it had a very level, flat bottom to it, like maybe you've seen even some clouds do that. And I took the light, and if I got down underneath the bottom of that cloud, why, I could see the whole white bottom of the cloud going. Well, I call it a cloud, but it was fog down here, I guess. I could see the flat bottom of it went over until it impacted the field. And the further I walked that way, the less and less clear space I had to be able to see what I'm doing. And so I got down and I looked all over. I could see right back down to where the car was. I could see the woods on out that way, to my right. But I wanted to get to the top where that saddle is to see what landed there. And so I walked and walked, and I just walked right up into the fog. And it looked like black to me unless I shined that light around. When I brought it around, I was standing in white, but I could not see anything, not at all. I got way down. I finally got to the point where I'd walked up into it till my feet was even uphill into the cloud. And I stood there thinking, boy, what a predicament this is. I can't see if anything is coming. I can't see where the top of the hill is. I can't see where that thing landed. I wanted to see what it was. This is a significant global event, I thought. We got one now. I want to see it. They're full of excitement and adrenaline and wanting to go. I couldn't go. There was nowhere I could see to go. I didn't know if I was going to run into any cattle up in there or just walk into bushes, trip and fall into a hole or something. So I thought for a while, and I thought, this is not a good situation. I'm going to have to go back down, see if Vivian's okay. We'll just we're just going to have to get out of here, I guess. So I turned around. I had this feeling like, like something is after you, and you feel like it's going to grab you by the back or whatever, and you want to take off and run. And I thought, no, Daddy, I ain't running. And I thought, well, I ain't going to stand here either, because something might be coming. I don't know. Something might have got out of that. There might be a bunch of them, whatever's flying that thing. They might be right there in the fog. Oh, okay. I just turned and stepped out a little bit, walking a little bit faster than normal. And the first thing you know, it come up to over my, now it's all clear. Now I'm back under the fog again. I turn around and I look back, and sure enough, it was thick and it was stratified, and it was there just like it was when I come up. But now it's all clear down below. I went down, I got in the car, went through the fence, got in the car, started right up and took off out of there. Viv said, well, what was it? I said, I don't know. She said, did you see it? I said, nope. She said, where did you go? I said, I was going to the top of the hill, but I didn't make it. She said, why not? I said, because up there is a real thick fog. I couldn't see where I was going. When I walked up into it, it was fog all around me. In every direction I could turn, I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. She said, no kidding. I said, yeah. I said, I stood there. Must have been at least 5 minutes or so before I decided to come back down. I said, how long ago was it? I said, how long have I been going? Probably about, I'd say 10 minutes. She said, no, it was more like a half an hour. So I lost some time there somehow, and I don't know what happened in that fog. Anyway, I thought for sure the next day, I thought maybe even that night it would be on Channel 4 News out of Pittsburgh. Nope. No news in the paper the next day. Nothing on the radio. Didn't hear anything on the TV. And nobody has said anything about it from 56 years ago till now. And it happened. Now, there was a time when I wouldn't just tell anybody anything like this that happened. Well, they might think you're crazy. They might think less of your opinion after that from then on. But when you get to be 78 years old, like I am now, just to be honest with you, I just don't care about anybody's opinion. I know what happened. And so does Viv. Well, people say, they love to believe in conspiracy theories. Boy, do they like those. When there isn't any proof at all. Anyway, it was proven to me that something exists that is significantly more impressive than we are. And here's something that I'd like to point out. People say, no, I don't believe in aliens. But when you use that word alien, they always think of monsters. But listen, these beings, if they're coming here now, have been coming here from planets that existed before the Earth did. They're older than us, they're more evolved than us, and they're more friendly than us. We're the ones that kills everything, kill ourselves. We're the ones that need to be straightened out. Don't call them aliens. That's not extraterrestrials. Well, someone would tell me, well, I don't believe in extraterrestrials either. That's okay. That's fine. You believe whatever you want. But did you know that Jesus Christ said he was not of this world? What do you call him? He said, when they asked him, the disciples around him, where the kingdom is going to be that he's going to be the king of. You know, everybody likes to be a king. Well, not everybody. I don't want to be one. And maybe you don't. But there are those people that they love the power. They lust after the power and the money. They would like to be a king. And so they wonder, well, Christ is coming back. He's going to be the King of Kings. You've heard that. He's coming back not as a little weak lamb, sacrificial lamb. This time he's coming back as a conqueror. Read it in Revelation chapter 19. You'll see. Anyway, they said, where is your kingdom? He said, it doesn't come. You can't see it. And I don't want to get on talking about all the aspects of that right there because it's a big subject. But he went on and continued talking and said, you are from below. I am from above. You are of this world. I am not of this world. Think about that. And that book that a lot of people goes to church and believe in, they don't believe in extraterrestrials. Okay, anyway, that did happen to us. And I thought, while I'm still here, I'm going to document it and put it on a video, just in case it might help somebody sometime in the future. Okay, folks, you have a good week. You come back now. Here. You come out this one.
Nope, not this one either. Yeah, it was that one. No, it was this one right here.